do a roundtable introductions. I can certainly introduce Rob. So I want to welcome everyone. Thank you everyone for joining us for the Boston Society of Architects Healthcare Facilities Committee meeting today. We're really excited to have Rob Masters from Canon Design present the ACH. Do you say ACHA or ACHA or ACHA? I've heard all sorts of ways.
I've heard it multiple ways. I generally say ACHA, but I've heard it probably every which way so far.
Me too. So I'll say ACHA because I'm more comfortable with that. He's certified with ACHA. I think you're also a member of the FGI Health Guidelines Revisions Committee, and we can certainly talk about that at the end of the meeting if people are interested, because that's also very interesting, all the updates. Rob is also a co-chair of many committees, it looks like, a HGRC, Benefit Cost Committee, AIA, AAH, Academy in Architecture for Health Codes and Standards Committee. You're on the ACHA Recruitment Task Force and Environmental Standards Council, but you're a esteemed, highly respected principal of Canon Design with 25 years or more of experience. And I don't know you personally besides all the great information you put out there to the office, but I'll hand it over to Rob to introduce himself a little more if you like.
Well, thanks, Cindy, for that. I appreciate it. And it's great to be able to chat with you all this evening to talk a little bit more about ACHA, the value proposition of becoming certified and the process, which I know just from early introductions, we've got lots of different points of view, perspectives of the process, so which is great. I won't dwell too much about my background. I'm certainly happy to answer any questions about various aspects of it. But I have spent the vast majority of my career focused on healthcare architecture, and becoming an ACHA certificate was a natural step in my career journey, and I think that is the case for many of us who have become certificates within the college, and align ourselves with the other certificates that are really at kind of the highest level, really a level of board certification for healthcare architecture, which is what HCHA certification represents. So I have a presentation to talk a little bit more about it this evening once we do roundtable introductions. It is truly intended to be completely conversational, and I welcome anybody to interrupt at any point to ask questions. And as I said at the outset, I certainly welcome Millie and others to interject, to share their experiences, and pitch in, because the whole point of this for me and for others within the college, and certainly on the recruitment task force, is to do a better job of getting the information out there and letting people know why this is important, and why you should consider it to be an important step in your career path, and an important credential that differentiates you in the practice.
Okay, Andrew, why don't you take the next one?
Sure. So Andrew Brumbach with Smith Group. So I think just for the new people, we were going around and just kind of sharing where we are in the journey for ACHA, and with my German last name, I pronounce it ACHA usually. So I took and passed the test in the summer of 2021, and I'm still procrastinating on pulling together my portfolio, in the process of doing that right now. But that's where I'm at.
Millie, do you want to go next?
Sure. I have, I don't remember exactly how long ago, but I took the exam and passed the test, became a member, and avoided it for a long time, I think, because I thought it was just more letters after my name. And I thought that, it really didn't matter. But once I joined, I have a different opinion about the whole matter. And I think just the conversation we're having tonight, is an example of how great it is to get medical planners together.
Okay. Brian Watson, you're next.
Oh, sure. So I'm Brian Watson with Payette. I just got my certification this past year. I took the exam, passed it in July, and waited till almost too late to get all my letters and portfolio together, but I squeezed in under the deadline and it worked out for me. So that's really nice. And yeah, kind of like Millie, I put it off for a while, mostly because I didn't think I was there yet. But once I started sort of putting the portfolio together, I realized, no, I think this is something that, I'm ready to pursue and sort of step into that next area of sort of my practice as a healthcare planner. So looking forward to digging into it now that I'm actually in there.
Thank you. And Scott Mueller, I see you on the call.
Hey, Cindy. Hi, everyone. Scott Miller. I've been involved in ACHA since 2016. I currently serve as a co-chair of the certification committee. So certification committee reviews portfolios that come in. And so that's what I'm up to.
Thank you for joining us. That's great. Jessica Hochter from Payette.
Hi, I'm Jessica. I am very, very early on in the process. I just submitted my application this morning. So probably the newest to this and just getting started on understanding what all this means and what I have to do for next steps.
Thank you. Kira Rosenbaum.
Hi, I think I have you 1B. I've not yet submitted my application yet. I also work at Shepley Wolfinch and I've worked with Scott for a number of years and Jennifer Aliber, and was told to come for as long as I can on this meeting and kind of learn more about it and more about the process. So working as a healthcare planner right now on my very first project. So
Great. Welcome.
thanks.
I'm going to, I don't know if I'll say this name, Algis or Algis?
Yes. Hi, Cindy. Hi, my name is Algis Kovitis. I also work for Shepley Bullfinch too, and I work with Scott. I am early in the process. I thought I would just jump on and learn as much as I could from the people who have gone through the process, or and just get a little bit more information. So that's where I am.
Perfect. Thank you. I see Sylvia. You want to introduce yourself, Sylvia?
Hello, yes, I was trying to find the mute button. My name is Sylvia Cuervo Cortázar. I work for NBBJ. I'm very early in the process, so I just want to learn about it. What's the requirements and how long it takes, and it's something that I foresee in my future. So I need to start preparing for it, and I think this is great to have the opportunity to hear firsthand.
Great. Thank you for joining us. And Nile, I think Nile is already certified.
Sorry, I'm in a place where I can't talk too much, but yes, I am already certified.
Great. Well, Rob, do you want to take it away? Do you have anything to show? I can let you.
Yeah, I'm gonna let me share my screen here. I'm gonna put this up here. Can everybody see that okay?
Yes.
Excellent. And let me click over here. Okay, you guys can still see that all right? Excellent. I neglected to share what my status is in the college. I like others who admitted their procrastination, I put ACHA certification off for a number of years. Although I grew up in the healthcare architecture community in a firm where one of our founding principals was a original founding member of the college back in 2000, and had another a couple of senior principals who are also ACHA certified. So it was on my radar for a long time, but I put it off for a long time. I actually became certified in 2000, and got immediately involved in the career path committee within the college, and then more recently we formed the recruitment task force. I co-chair with Sheila Kahneman, who is a founding member, I believe, as well of the college, and a great advocate for ACHA. So my journey has been a long span, but a certificate for only a couple of years now, but really enjoying the collegiality and the learning opportunities within the college. So I'm going to walk through this deck, tell you a little bit more about the college and about the process. And interestingly, it has changed only just within the past couple of years. For a long time, the process was that you put your portfolio and your recommendation letters together and submitted them with your application, and they were reviewed together, and then you received approval to sit for the exam. And I think for me, that was one of the reasons why I put it off, because I recognized that first step was a very significant one, and took a lot of commitment and to the process. So I did finally bite the bullet, and of course I did that the last year that you had to do it that way. So after that, starting in 2021, they have changed the process to give options for how to pursue certification, and I'll talk about that a little bit more in a minute. But certainly some of the other folks on the call that have had recent experience will be able to speak to that also. It really is. It was an important change, and I think it really helpful for folks that are really trying to manage it in chunks and work their way through the process. So we'll talk about that in a couple of slides. But please feel free to interrupt with a question at any point. Just speak up or raise your hand. I'm trying to make sure I can see all of the functionality. I will do my best to keep tabs on it. But Cindy, if a hand is raised and I don't see it, please feel free to let me know.
Sure.
So again, the goal here really is just to provide information and to really talk about the value proposition of the college, and really all that it has to offer for healthcare architects like all of you, who are really looking to differentiate themselves in the industry and to collaborate with colleagues that are at a similar level in their career journeys. Like all of us, I think that we focus in on healthcare architecture because of the importance of it and the ability to be able to positively impact the experience and and hopefully the outcomes for patients and their families, and also for the care teams that deliver the care. It's a commitment that we all share. And I think it's a commitment that is elevated by the certificates within the college. There is what you'll see in the slides that follow is that there's a real commitment to working collegially and collaboratively to help each other pursue that goal. And there's a broad commitment by firms across the country, and many of you on the call are among them, that really do support the value of certification and promote it among their healthcare teams. So this is an example of that. You can see here in this in this logo cloud that firms across the country have ACHA certificates among their healthcare teams. The larger the logo on this cloud, the more certificates exist within those firms. So there are large national practices, smaller regional practices, a lot of folks around the country, and you'll see a map in a minute that shows the distribution represented across 43 states and Canada, with an international presence that's growing. So clearly within our industry, it's a recognized credential and an important one. Clients really do also recognize the value proposition of certified architects. And the board certification aligns very naturally in the healthcare industry, where if you're looking for a particular specialist, a particular surgeon, you will look for a board certified clinician. And I think that value proposition is easily translated to our hospital clients who see that on their own teams and look for that among healthcare architects to really demonstrate the value that comes, the knowledge and the experience that comes with hiring and engaging with and partnering with ACHA certified design professionals. You will also see that at national conferences, in articles in peer-reviewed journals and in healthcare specialty publications, white papers that are issued, ACHA certificates are often among those that are authoring papers, that are presenting at conferences. They represent often the leading edge of what we're doing as healthcare design professionals across the country, and share that knowledge and perspective with the greater community. So it really is a clear demonstration of both the commitment that that ACHA certificates have and their presence and visibility in the healthcare design landscape. I mentioned the national footprint of ACHA certificates. There are over 450 certificates across the country and in Canada. And we are actively building those numbers. We had a great incoming class last year, and we are very hopeful that we'll have a great class again this year. It's an opportunity that I think we all think of within our own emerging healthcare design leaders and planners within our own firms, and we look at kind of the regional presence and recognize where we can find opportunities to grow the numbers across the country. So it's something that we focus on, and as a co-chair of the recruitment task force, it's something that we take very personally, the ability to connect with folks that are coming up as healthcare design professionals and exposing them to the opportunities that the college represents.
But I want to ask one thing. There's a lot of people in Texas that get certified, and I see that strength down there, and I would like to see us build it up in the Northeast as well.
I wholeheartedly agree, Millie. I look at the numbers in Texas and California, and even in Florida, and I think, well, the Northeast has some catching up to do. We've got a great group of professionals in a number of key metro centers, and we can absolutely build up our numbers in the Northeast. I think that, I mentioned the collegiality before, and one of the things that's been great for me in the years that I've been part of the college is getting to know folks across the country and being able to collaborate with them, both within the college and trying to advance the mission of the college, but also just as healthcare design professionals that you see at conference or you see at the Summer Leadership Series, which is a great educational conference that's really specific to the college. And in fact, a number of folks here on the screen, ACHA and Solveig, are both members of the Career Path Committee. Actually, they co-chair the Career Path Committee now. Brian Langlands is a great colleague who has been a leader on the FGI Health Guidelines Revisions Committee for a number of cycles now. Just great to be able to connect with these folks, build professional relationships with them, and benefit from their knowledge and experience in addition to to our own individual experiences.
I have my hand raised, Rob. But isn't there going to be a conference or meeting in Boston next for the ACHA? Is that happening, or?
I would have to look into it. I know that we have been doing town halls over the past couple of years to give the teams opportunities to get together. I'd have to look at where the Summer Leadership Series is this year. It was in Chicago last year. I don't know if it's been historically there, but I will take a look at that.
Yeah, it is. That particular thing is always in Chicago.
Oh, okay. So the thing I'm seeing is I'm looking at something else, maybe.
It would be great to have something in Boston. That's,
But I think that those opportunities to connect are exactly what this next slide was driving toward, is being able to connect with folks at conference, whether that's at PDC going on this week, or the HCD conference, or other national conferences where often certificates are speaking and involved in committee leadership meetings. So there's a great community to connect with. You can work with folks on committees within the college, engage in task force like the recruitment task force, which really just grew out of our ability to try to focus on outreach and make sure that that folks knew about what was happening with the college and how to access it, how to pursue certification. And I mentioned the online town halls that, again, give an opportunity just to connect and to get into some smaller discussions with certificates from across the country to discuss what's happening in the industry, what we're seeing, and how things are continuing to evolve. The mentorship aspect is tremendous. It does give an opportunity. I find it for myself a real opportunity to connect with emerging leaders within my own practice, and I try to outreach across the firm to kind of let folks know about ACHA and what the opportunities are, and how to engage in the process, so that the next generation of healthcare leaders understands the value of the college and engages. I think that's been a big focus, because the college is 23 years old now, and there's still a lot of founding members that are among the ranks, but recognizing that people are going to begin to retire and transition out of the college. We want to expand the ranks. We want the next generation coming in. And so it's great to hear about folks that are interested and that are already engaged in the journey. There's a video clip that's embedded in here. If you go on the website, and I'll share a link at the end. There is a YouTube version of this presentation that you can watch, and AJ has some comments about exactly what I just described, kind of that mentoring opportunity, that he really benefited from that mentorship coming up, and that it's really something that he looks to give back and engage with other members of his team, and encourage them to engage with ACHA and become certificates. There's a wide range of ACHA certificates that are engaged in all kinds of tremendous opportunities outside of just their basic practice. One that I'll highlight here is Noam Platt, who's there in the green column. Noam is the head of the Louisiana chapter of a group called Makers Making Change, and he's focused on designing and building customized assistive devices that support a range of folks with accessibility needs and specialty needs. He engages with college programs on charrettes to work with him on developing some of these design solutions, and it's really fascinating to see. And it's just one great example of the way that certificates are involved in a whole range of activity outside of architectural practice. And Noam actually was not only an architect, but also an AHJ for a number of years as well. So it's really fascinating to learn more about folks and understand the ways that they're engaging in healthcare design across the continuum.
I see Algis has his hand up.
Yes, Rob, I was wondering if you could talk about the application process, specifically, specifically about the people who you would get to write you recommendations, and also the projects you would select for your portfolio.
Yeah, it's a great question, and it is a particular challenge. I know that when I put my my portfolio together, the letters of recommendation posed a little bit of a challenge, and I had to kind of approach it in a very particular way. And I'm going to jump ahead to a slide that kind of covers this specifically. Okay, so over here on the right hand side, you can see the kind of the high level baseline criteria for certification. The minimum of 3 years registration, minimum of 6,000 hours focused on healthcare design over the past 5 years. Portfolio of a minimum of 3, but up to 9 healthcare projects that you've been involved in the past 5 years. And then 3 client letters of reference and 3 architects letters of recommendation. So, from a portfolio perspective, I mean, you really want to focus in on projects that you've had some real in-depth involvement. You can really speak to your role in the design process and client engagement to the degree that's been a part of it, where you've really been able to understand the particular project challenges and be a vested partner in the design solutions. It is a criteria, and you'll see in the certification handbook that's available on the ACHA website that there's some criteria for what you want to include in each of those projects in your portfolio. But focusing in on what your role was and how you were engaged in the team is kind of a critical point of that of those criteria for the project. So you really want to find those projects that really highlight your involvement and also speak to your interest in healthcare design.
Hey, Rob, if I may, I just want to add on to what you said. I think the committee that reviews the portfolios is also looking for breadth of experience in terms of different project types, whether it be inpatient or outpatient, large and small. And it's okay if, you've had, 3 or 4, 15,000 square foot projects. Not everybody that applies works for a monstrous firm around the country. That's okay. But I think we do want to see, certainly, as Rob, you described, what your role was or is, and that you've had a variety of experiences. I'd also tag on that the architect letters of recommendation, those do need to come from architects outside of your current firm.
Yeah, Scott, thanks for highlighting that. And that's actually one of the things that's really important about what Scott mentioned about the portfolio is that being able to kind of show that breadth of experience in terms of project types is really important, because it's really fundamental to your preparation for the exam. The range of questions that you'll encounter on the exam really do delve into a broad cross section of project types from inpatient to outpatient, and being able to kind of demonstrate that experience is a really important aspect of recognizing your breadth of experience and your preparation for taking the exam. As it relates to the letters of recommendation and the point that the architects need to be outside your firm, that was a particular challenge for me at the time, because I had been at one firm for such a long time that a lot of my architectural peers were still my colleagues. But one interesting aspect of that for me was that a number of my peers over time had evolved into client roles. And so even though I only needed 3 client reference letters, 2 of my architecture reference letters were also clients, because they had transitioned to the client side. We're still healthcare architects, but we're in a different role. So, you can use your relationships to handle to address those 6 letters, I think, in a way that works for your own experience and your own journey.
I'd like to just add that I was really intimidated by the letters. I think that for the same reason, Rob, you were just mentioning. But what I discovered when I reached out to people, and this may be just me, but a lot of our peers are more than happy to support you, and you may underestimate what people are willing to go through. So particularly the clients and the clinical clients, I contacted a nurse, for instance, and I was just surprised, but they're accustomed to this kind of certification process, and people are more than happy to help you.
Can I ask a question about the client reference letters? So we have individuals at our firm who've only worked for one client for the past 5 years. What do they do in that situation? How do you get like 3 different clients if you've only worked for one facility?
Well, I think, one way to approach that is to not necessarily feel like those client reference letters have to be necessarily from different clients. I think,
Okay.
Millie indicated that she had reached out to a nurse. I think if you have a facilities reference on the client side, but then also an end user, a nurse or a physician that that's been part of the design process, that's absolutely an avenue that you can pursue to get that to fulfill that requirement.
So it's okay if they're all within the same system? It doesn't have to be like 2 different hospitals?
I think if that's reflective of your experience, I think that that it's I think it's a good it's a good approach to take. And frankly, I think
Okay.
if you're able to use multiple aspects of your client relationship to be able to fulfill that, I think it speaks to kind of a broader level of exposure, which is important.
Great, thank you.
So
Yeah, and
I
just
can,
to reaffirm
can
that,
add-
it actually says in the handbook, they can be from the same client. And just as Millie and Rob described,
Mhm.
Different aspects of that client.
yeah, so I can add because I was also in the same boat. I had worked for the same client for a long time. So 2 of my letters were from the same client, but the people held different positions, but they were all from, or both were from Boston Children's Hospital. So they took it.
That's great. Thank you all.
Do the clients still need to be at the client that you had the relationship with them? Because I have a number of people that I would get a recommendation from, but have moved to a new location, but I worked with them at a different. Does it matter if their current job aligns with the project they're recommending you for, the relationship for?
Yeah, I think that's totally acceptable. I mean, ultimately, we professionally, lots of folks are moving around, but I think the relationship and the experience that the letter can speak to is really what's important. So yeah, I don't think that would be a particular challenge.
And I can again add that one of my letter was from the client who had moved on to another firm, not from another healthcare institution. So she had worked in a different place and now was at a different place. But she referred to my experience at the previous place. So even if the letter had different logo on it, she referred to the previous project. So that was accepted.
So it sounds like the application, as long as you're able to kind of justify what you've provided as part of your application and maybe include that in a cover letter of sorts, then that would be reviewed by the committee as kind of a case by case basis.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that I think that obviously there are minimum criteria that the application is looking to confirm, but I think that there is no magic single route to achieving those results. I mean, clearly, the minimum thresholds for experience are what they are, but we each of us have a different journey through working with different clients and working with different scales and numbers of firms. So I think recognizing that is really, I mean, that's part of the role of the certification committee, is to understand that the journeys are different, and that that everybody's going to come forward with their their particular experience represented.
I think one of the things that you find if you join and come to an SLS in Chicago or something like that, is that there's a real range between people who come from very large firms, big international firms, and people who come from very small firms in rural states. Like, there is a full range of people. And so the kind of challenges that you have at either end, the really small firm or the really big firm, are different, but they're both significant challenges to coming in and getting all these references. So people manage from all different backgrounds.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think it's an important aspect to understand of the profession, and it goes through other aspects of our professional lives across the country. And one of the things that I have encountered a number of times as part of the FGI Revisions Committee is understanding the very particular perspective of designers, clinicians, and AHJs that are focused on rural or critical access facilities, and the very specific experiences and challenges that they have as facilities. I think it speaks to that, to that broad range. Just as Millie said, there's folks that, that are in small organizations working for smaller clients and institutions, and then folks in big metro centers like Boston or New York that are focused on a whole different range and scale of clients. So it's all valid, and it's all important. I did want to jump really quick to the flexibility that I kind of mentioned at the beginning about how you can approach the process, because this is it's an important change that I think really is a meaningful one for folks that are thinking about about certification and how they would approach it. In either scenario, it starts with getting your application in and beginning the process. But you can submit your application, take the exam first, and then having passed the exam, submit your portfolio to complete the process. Or you can get your portfolio together while you study and prepare for the exam, submit your portfolio, and then sit for the exam after. There's flexibility from that perspective, which I think is really great, because it does give you an opportunity to manage it the way it feels best for you. And I think one of the things that it is great is that there's a growing number of certificates across the country with firms like Smith Group and Shepley and others that are represented on the call. There are great resources within your own firms that you can speak to in terms of how to approach it and how best to prepare yourself. But I think the flexibility really does help. It really starts to break the process down, and you can manage it in the way that you feel like it'll work the best for you. There are also a number of really important resources available for folks that are preparing to submit an application, which the deadline for this year's cycle is rapidly approaching. April 1st is the application deadline for the 2023 cycle. But of course, the application is just that first step. The certification handbook that you see kind of in the center screen there is available on the website. It's a great resource to kind of break down the whole process, so you understand what the requirements are for the exam process, as well as putting the portfolio together, what those those specific project requirements are, and how to meet all the criteria. There are also some great preparation resources available. There are some YouTube videos about prepping for the exam that are available. There's actually, once you've registered for the exam, there's a practice exam that you can take, which is a great window into the types of questions that you'll encounter, and really kind of helping you align your prep with the exam once you're scheduled to sit. There are practice exam questions that are available through the website. There are prep seminars that you can view online or attend in person at some of the conferences. So there's lots of ways to prepare yourself and and get comfortable with the content, so that you're poised to go in and knock it out of the park on your first try. I will tell you that for me, the practice exam was particularly helpful because like many, I think it's hard to really know what to study for there. I was talking to Carlos Amato, who is a principal at Canon Design and a longtime certificate. And he said that in the early days of the college, there was a list of maybe 40 plus books that were recommended reading for preparation for the exam. I think that's probably another reason why some folks put it off for a little while. But there are actually some great resources. And I found, as I was preparing, I found a publication. It's a joint publication between the AIA, Academy of Architecture for Health, and Joint Commission Resources. It's called Planning, Design, Construction of Healthcare Facilities. And I think it's maybe on its 4th or 5th edition now. It's a great resource, not only for it's kind of end-to-end content from pre-planning to post-occupancy. And there are some great case studies that are available in that book as well. So if you don't have it, I would recommend it, not just as preparation for the exam, but as a great professional resource. It's a really great publication. And I wasn't aware of it until I started digging around for how I might prepare for the exam. Any thoughts from recent exam takers on prep and your experience taking the exam?
I did find the Joint Commission design guide pretty helpful. I picked that up when I started studying, because a lot of especially in the focusing on the areas of like, early design, pre-design, when you're figuring out things like grossing factors, you do that for such a brief period during, projects, and it's usually only big projects that applies to. So getting a good solid refresher on that was super helpful, because I booted most of that out of my brain after going through design. I was on to other things, so it was helpful to kind of get back in that headspace.
Agreed.
Yeah, I definitely relied on that practice exam. I took that, and the things that there was terms I didn't recognize or questions. That's where I started. I was like, okay, I clearly need to look up this, and you find out, oh, I know what they're talking about. I just have always used a different term, but it is, that was very helpful, because I did find it was such a broad test that I needed to focus in, and probably should have devoted more time to studying, but managed to pass anyway. But I think, a lot of this, I had some really somewhat early career people ask me if they should take it. And I do feel like the best thing is you need to do it for a while. You need to have done enough projects and experience to really go after this. It's not something that you can just study your way into, where I think other tests, that is the case. You really have to have enough experience. Not that should scare people, but, having just a broad, opportunity to work with different project types is really the best way to study for this.
Yeah, some of the questions on things like execution and working with users, and really getting almost into the weeds of how we bring healthcare projects into reality. You don't really understand it until you've done it at least a few times. So I found it helpful to have the experience that I had before I took the exam. I think if I'd taken it a few years earlier, I would have bombed.
Yeah, I would really agree with that, and I think that's one of the reasons why I think it's really important to find, to find a local resource, a certificate that you can use as a mentor if you're early in your career and you're thinking about ACHA certification, which is a great goal and should absolutely keep it on your career trajectory. But I do think there's a lot of experience that comes to bear on the exam, and so that's absolutely a side of it. I don't think it is. If somebody told you, well, just sit and read the guidelines and read NFPA 101 and read NFPA 99 and then go ahead and take it. It's that's good, but it's, you know, that coupled with the experience of really engaging with clients, understanding the business case for projects, the value proposition of good design, and what master plan strategy really means for a project. Those are all really important aspects that you're not going to find that in the guidelines. And frankly, I think that's again one of the things that's great about becoming a certificate is that you'll come to the exam with a certain level of knowledge, and that will get you to that threshold. Engaging with a broader community of people that are at that level and beyond will just continue to help you build your knowledge and your experience and broaden your career as a healthcare architect. So, you know, it's a great credential and it's a great goal, but it's really a milestone that leads to additional milestones and great opportunities.
Yeah, thank you for saying that, Rob, because I was just thinking that you know, when you're starting off, you're just worried about getting certified, but the whole reason you want to do this is not just to get the letters after your name. The reason you want to do this is to join this community, which is a really incredible community. And I can't say enough about how people share, how people tell stories. This is one of the ways you get to know the architects that you're competing against a little bit, but also you may be joining them, you know, how our paths cross back and forth. I think that the power of the networking is the most important part about what we're doing, particularly because we are healthcare architects. And we have a funny sort of position within our firms and the AIA in terms of what does it mean to be a medical planner or a healthcare planner. You know, are you the manager, or you the project architect or the project man, you know, all of that kind of stuff. And it has really evolved over my career, grown the importance of the title being a healthcare planner. And so I feel like it's really, you know, important. I now have joined Canon Design, so there's all these other healthcare planners, and I have a different network to rely on. But in the beginning, I can remember that it was like so refreshing to show up at the SLS and have all these people talk shop, you know, just like me. Yeah. And I hadn't really ever experienced that. You know, within my firm, I was like an oddball. So I really encourage people to join us if you like talking shop and you get all excited about new FGI guidelines or the reason why, you know, reimbursements change, then we're definitely the place to come to.
Yeah, it's 100%. It's 100% true. And actually the images on the right-hand side of the screen are I think they're all taken from this past year's SLS conference that Millie and I both attended. Yeah. And some tremendous speakers that will give you insights that into where the future of healthcare is going, what the financial landscape for healthcare, how it's changing and how it's impacting our projects and our clients. It's like the 600 level courses of healthcare planning and design that you really wanted to take and you just didn't know they were available. So it's a great opportunity, and it is important to recognize that, you know, I stumble over saying certificate over and over again sometimes, but this is not a membership organization. This is board certification for healthcare architects. It is the only specialty certification that is recognized by the AIA. And it is that differentiation that Millie talked about, which is what makes the college so special.
Mm-hmm.
I wonder if any of you who have taken the exam enjoyed the organization, if you could talk about just how your roles in the organization have changed as you've been a part of it.
Do you mean roles within the college or roles within our individual firms or practices?
That's a good point. I guess really both. I guess first within the college, I think first and foremost, and then how that has impacted your roles in your individual firms.
Yeah, well, I'll go first, but would love to hear from others as well. I mean, I think, the college is, it is what you make of it. You can, one of the things that that I did when I first became a certificant was that I got involved very quickly. Scott mentioned his involvement on the certification committee. I think it's a great way to engage with the college, start to get to know some of your fellow certificates, and get involved in venues that are involved with the college. I got involved with the career path committee, which made me think about my own trajectory and how that might be important and different for younger architects and designers, and how tools and resources that the college could provide would help bring folks to the college and enrich their careers. So, we've been thinking a lot about that, talking a lot about that, and that's really what generated the recruitment task force. So I think if you're really interested in taking advantage of what the college has to offer, and you get yourself involved, I think you will find that it that just continues to pay dividends through your interactions with fellow certificates. And I think within your own firm, it's a differentiating credential that allows you to approach your prospective and your existing clients with a new sense of knowledge and experience, and I think it allows you to engage with your peers that way too. I know when I first became a certificate, the first thing I wanted to understand was who all among my peers within Canon Design were also fellow certificates, and shouldn't we be talking more and getting together more? So I started reaching out. It took me a little bit of time to actually figure out who everybody was, and it's important to kind of keep abreast of it, because the list is continually growing, and it's great to see new certificates coming onto the list. But I think it gives you a professional boost both within your own organization and with the clients that you serve.
I think I come from a slightly different angle, in that I have not participated in any of the committees. I'm sorry, but I haven't participated in any of the committees, but I am a really dedicated person to going to Chicago in July for the SLS. And I feel like that's been the biggest boost to my career that I've had in a long time, was becoming aware of it and joining that community for that educational. It's not like a conference, where everybody's trying to sell something or impress everybody. It is a pure educational event. And the other part about it that really amazes me is that they every year they give out the healthcare awards, the AIA Design Awards at the event, and you get to really sit down and talk about with the people who win the awards all the different aspects about their design. And it's not the glossy picture that is in the the marketing material, it's like, well, how did you really do that? And that kind of stuff. And so it's really a really wonderful event. And I come back from it every summer thinking I'm a smarter person and I'm a better person and I know what I'm doing a little bit more about, and I bring that back to the firm, I think.
I like to agree with Millie because I also didn't participate as much in the college activities, but that's my most favorite thing to do, the SLS. And within the forum, you already know how Shepley works. So I don't think that contributed anything anywhere, just within the forum and outside the forum. I don't know how many clients really Google what ACHA really means. But the most favorite thing for me is that conference and what comes out of it, the workshop and the talks and everything.
Yeah, I think it's great. It's really great insight. And I, my first experience with SLS was virtual, which was still very good, but was virtual and was really, it was really exciting and eye-opening to attend my first live SLS this past summer and really benefit from the content. Just as Millie said, it's a great educational opportunity. And you do, when you hear about it, I hadn't even thought about the awards presentations, but you do 100% focus in on the why behind the design strategy, and often, with measurable outcomes that are demonstrated by the success of the design. So it's really, understanding the work of your peers on a different level and appreciating the reasons why it's been recognized.
And it's a great networking event because you meet all the other medical planners around the country. So if you ever want to talk to anybody, it is a great networking event.
I also wanted to say, with regards to that it is such a favorite thing that sometimes the firms are not able to afford sending everybody to these conferences. Firms have budget to go to meet. So I would have paid out of pocket if I had to. So, but keep that in mind that it does cost money going there, flying there, living there for 3-4 days and paying for the conference itself. So it's also an expense.
Yeah, it's a great point, and I feel the same way. It is absolutely an expense that I would pay out of pocket for the benefit of the experience. It is it's really it's for healthcare planners and designers. It is a great annual education opportunity that it's a rare treat. I will call it that because it is. Other questions from the group?
This is great, Rob. I see that the applications are due April 1st, and I'm probably one of the 2 that was on this call that haven't submitted. So I was working on it while we were talking.
Did you hit any stumbling blocks that we can help with?
Well, no, I did, but I reached out to the help desk at that online thing. So it looks pretty straightforward. I mean, I think it seems very user-friendly. And then if you apply, you can either do the exam first and then the portfolio, or other way around, it seems like.
Exactly.
And the exam is always in July.
It is. It's always, you can take it any day throughout the month of July, but it's only offered in July each year. So once you've applied and once you're granted to sit, then you schedule it through. I'm trying to remember if it's through, is it maybe through Prometric? I don't remember exactly who, but it's, you schedule online, and I had a very interesting experience with the exam, because I took it in the depths of COVID. So I was all wrapped up in a fairly not only was it an empty building, but it was a building that was under massive renovation in Midtown Manhattan. So it was a very memorable experience.
They also offer the exam at the SLS every year.
Oh,
This sounds like a great group, the learning and the support and the benefits sound really, it seems like for your own career and for mentorship and giving and taking mentorship, but it looks like a very worthwhile certification. And you only said 480 in the country are certified or something like that?
yeah. I don't know the exact number coming out of the 2022 cycle. It's over 450 now, but I'm very hopeful that we will see our certificate numbers grow in the years ahead. I think there are a lot of great, talented, emerging healthcare architects out there that would be great additions to the college. So very hopeful that we'll continue to see those numbers grow over time.
Fabulous. And there's also an FACHA, I think you can look to achieve once you're in for a long time, I guess, or 10 years of more experience. And is that a nomination? Not a.
That's an application.
Oh, it's an
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think if I remember correctly, you
need to be sponsored by
yes, you
somebody.
become sponsored by someone within the college.
Right.
Yeah, so even a higher differentiating distinction over certification itself, which is once you get to FAIA and FACHA, I think that's the mic drop moment. That's the end of it.
And I'll point out that Scott Miller put up on the chat some additional links that are very helpful, exam resources for the exam prep, as well as portfolio requirements. And then Rob has that nifty scan me code that links to all the resources. I think we'll have this session recorded. And Rob, if you could send us this PDF, we could upload it to the BSA website for download for folks.
Be happy to.
Is there any, I know we have 10 more minutes, but is there any last thoughts or questions or from the group?
I just add to the exam thing. Now, I didn't take it more recently. It's been a number of years now. But at that time, I didn't think if I had not done healthcare, I would have passed this exam studying 24/7, because it's just, you cannot pass this exam by studying. I just want to say that if you haven't done projects, haven't done healthcare, the chances are you're not going to pass this exam. So, but if you have, then it's very easy exam to pass. Maybe the resources would help, but if you have the experience, then that's how it's geared towards. So you can't just pass it by studying it.
Great. Well, Rob, I want to thank you for your time and giving us your your experience, your narrative and talking through all the processes. And this was super helpful for me anyway.
Inspired me to maybe stop procrastinating and pull my portfolio together.
Look forward to seeing you all in July then.
All right.
So I appreciate the opportunity to tell everybody a little bit more about ACHA, or hopefully even for those of us that are certificates, there, it's always a learning opportunity. So it was of value, and please feel free to reach out to me, reach out to certificates within your own offices to learn more. And there are 450 of us and growing, and any one of us is very willing to help answer a question or help point you to a resource that can move you along the process.
And before you get off, I see I missed Sylvia's raised hand.
Yeah.
You're muted, Sylvia.
Yes. So I have a question. Is there a way to get involved prior to get the certificate? Like, can you just be part of it? Because I see my path is still a couple of years because of the experience that you need to have, like the licensing requirement. Though I've been working for as a healthcare planner about 10 years, but I don't have the license requirement yet. So what are other ways to get involved and while you become certificate?
Oh. Sorry about that. I had a momentary power glitch there. But great question, Sylvia, and I appreciate you bringing it up. So there is a candidate program within ACHA that allows you to get engaged, kind of start the process of tracking your experience hours and giving you an opportunity to be exposed to resources within the college. So you absolutely can do that. And there's more information about the candidate program on the website. But it's a great opportunity if you're aspiring to pursue certification and take the exam, but you're not quite there with aspects of the minimum requirements. It gives you a great window into the resources that are available and access to the SLS conference and other other resources within the college. So it's a great way to get involved and get rolling.
Great, thank you. Thank you for all the information.
Absolutely.
All right, Rob, I can give everyone 5 minutes back.
Thank you.
But thank you so much for presenting this wonderful.
Nice to see you, Rob.
Likewise, Millie.
Thanks
so much, everyone.
Thank you,
See you
everyone.
all.
Take care. Good night.
Take care.
Thanks, everybody. Good night.